Hi, welcome to Represent NYC. I'm Victoria Burt. I'm actually the producer of this show. And since the coronavirus pandemic has shut down New York City, essentially, we're practicing social distancing. But we still want to get you information and connect you with your representatives. And so I reached out to someone that I've known since she took office, Member Niou, Assembly member, and she's joining us today. And I just wanted to say hi, welcome, good to see your face.
Good to see your face. I miss you.
We're doing this show via Skype because no matter what, we can try to connect. So tell me, there's a lot of things going on for you and your district with this pandemic, and give me a little background about what's been happening.
Yeah, so as everybody knows, right now, it's all over the news. There is a pandemic happening, COVID-19. It's a virus that is, spreading very quickly, and we all need to make sure to take precaution. But in my district, there are two epidemics happening at the same time. One is the virus itself, and the other is a lot of xenophobia, anti-Asian racism, and it's been very hard on our businesses. Our small businesses here in Chinatown have been suffering for months now, not the actual virus, but an epidemic of xenophobia and racism due to some of the perpetuations of the stereotypes and racism that has been spread by actually even our own president. So
right.
It's been very difficult here. And as folks also know, 1/3 of my district is NYCHA and New York City public housing. And so because folks are in such close proximity, we also have to make sure that we are getting a lot of help there to make sure that cleaning, et cetera, is happening as well.
What are you hearing from your constituents? Is your office is closed now, correct?
Our office is closed right now. Our office has been working remotely. We are still checking in and taking cases and making sure that we are actually still connecting with all of our constituents, especially for the folks who are not able-bodied and for our seniors who need a little bit extra help. And so, we've been doing things like making sure that there's grocery delivery and making sure that folks are getting their meals. And actually, it's been really, really awesome to see that actually all of our community members have been stepping up and helping. And people know that we are in this together, and it's been one of the best things that we've been hearing from our district of folks helping each other out. Some of the worst things we've been hearing, obviously, have been the cases of severe, violent racism that we've been experiencing, not just in my district, but throughout the world right now. But in my district, we've had people who have been beat up. We've had kids bullied in school. We've had parents who have called us being really concerned about the language that certain teachers have been using, or that even the school crossing guards have been using.
Wow. What, I'm going to switch gears and go back a little bit to what you talked about, the elderly in your district. How are you working to protect them? They're talking about shortages of ventilators. They're talking about shortages of hospital beds. What's the reality? We've closed several hospitals in New York City within the last 5-10 years. What's the reality? What are you seeing, and how are you working with them?
So one of the biggest things, obviously, is to make sure that folks are sheltering in place, that they are actually practicing social distancing, making sure that they don't have a bunch of people coming in and out of their homes, and gathering with folks and then walking in and then bringing any bacteria or viruses with them, because I think that's really generally already very good practice, and our nurse practitioners and healthcare workers really already practice those things. But I think that it's really important that right now, during this time, that we are very cognizant of making sure that folks who are working still, or who are around a lot of people still, are not going and visiting their parents or grandparents who may or may not be immunocompromised, or have pre-existing conditions, or be elderly, or are in the hospital even. A couple of my friends, Nicole and Jiayang, have written articles that people have probably read about having parents who are ill and not being able to visit them. I think that's been a shared concern for a lot of folks. And I think that it's really important that we are helping people to be able to stay in place. And I think that that's really been the focus of our office right now, which is to make sure that people have the resources that they need. And we're delivering those resources through, phone calls and through making sure that, people have delivery services accessible, and then we help to make sure that the delivery workers who have been like the heroes of this entire pandemic all around the world, that the delivery workers are given instructions to leave things at the door, and then we're tipping extra ahead of time in order to make sure that folks are able to keep that distance as well. So those are things that we've been doing, and I think it's very, very good practice for our seniors, for folks who are immunocompromised, et cetera.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard from a lot of people just in my own personal life that the being able to connect with someone in your family who's elderly is a very stressful thing. So to know that there are people providing services to help bridge that gap, I think that's really great. Now, explain to me how legislation is working together. I mean, I know some people have been tested positive for the virus, and how has that changed how you guys are working? You passed some significant legislation, and Cuomo signed some big stuff this week. How is that working?
So they have us going in groups to vote, and I think that I personally advised against the going back and forth to Albany. I think that one of the biggest things that we have to do is to make sure that we are also self-quarantining as legislators who have been in proximity with other legislators. I think that a lot of us can be asymptomatic, and a lot of us can be exposed or carry around viral loads and not know it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's really important that we are keeping our constituents safe and making sure that we are practicing good self-quarantining and social distancing as well. So I think that that's been a significant change in how we are deliberating as well. So we're not in one room together deliberating as we are usually. We conference, and we are unable to do that. So we did a little bit by phone, but it's very, very difficult to be able to get in the opinions of over 100-something people trying to deliberate one topic the way that we can physically. So there's been challenges, but I think like technology can also come into play for that. I've been hoping that people can get caught up with things like Zoom.
Yeah, Zoom has been great, and Zoom is offering. It's free. I mean, there's a lot of services being offered through that app. So, can you talk to me a little bit about some of the legislation that's in the works or that just passed this week?
So we did paid sick leave, which is really, really important. We also did one piece that just needed to be passed because we wanted to make sure that our governing body can still operate, which is also on petitioning. So making sure that folks know to not or to end petitioning, I guess, the process itself, so that people are not going door to door, not trying to get more signatures, and trying to commit to slowing down the spread in that way.
Yeah. How can people reach your district now? What's the easiest way? What's the quickest way?
My district office is accessible through our phone service still, where we forward it on our call. So actually you can just go onto the Assembly website and look for our phone number. And we are totally 100% still answering our phones and accessible. We actually have volunteers now picking up our phones as well in order to direct some of the traffic, because we've been getting so many phone calls, and we've been getting so many different constituent cases. My staff is still working around the clock on different constituent cases. In fact, I think that we've solved even more and faster constituent cases recently because of how much of the volume has been coming in than we even had before. So, and we're very prolific. So I think that this has been a really good exercise, and also our neighbors and volunteers helping out. And so I really encourage that if you are at home and able-bodied and also willing to sit and make some phone calls for folks, to reach out to your local representative and see if their office needs some help, because I think that it's been really amazing to get some of these community leaders to help to take on some of the volume of calls to help people just to actually get some of the knowledge that we've been helping people get of updates, etc. And another thing that we've been doing is daily updates. So office has been putting out daily updates in 3 different languages, in Spanish and in Chinese, and to make sure that folks can understand what's been going on. We have updates about what's happening from the executive orders. We have updates on what's happening with our legislation. We have updates on what's happening on the ground. And we also know, the basic rules that we continually put in, which is wash your hands, wipe down surfaces, and to make sure to keep social distance. So those are the 3 basic rules that we keep on repeating to help people to be able to have a healthier stay at home.
Are you seeing a shortage of things like hand sanitizer and toilet paper in your district as well?
We did, see a really huge shortage of toilet paper really randomly. I still don't understand that. My dad called me and was just like, it's not like people poop more,
Well, I was really happy as I walked here this morning to the studios. I saw one of the markets had stacks of toilet paper and it actually had hand sanitizer. So I think that sort of rush is over and maybe we'll have more supplies. But I was just curious because I don't get to go downtown that much.
Well, I know that the supply is still coming. It's just really about that whole rush of people pulling things off the shelves and then, temporarily changing that market up. And I'm very concerned about some of the price gauging that's been happening. The price gouging has been outstanding and crazy. It's been the most ridiculous part, and I've been seeing that, people have jacked up $3 bottles of hand sanitizer to $20 or more. Wow. I think that that's really, really dangerous, and people need to really be willing to
walk away.
Complaints.
Yeah.
We should file the complaints to the AG's office. And so is on the Attorney General's website a complaint piece that you can actually access. And I think that that's really important for folks to know about. And, you can file a complaint with the Attorney General's office and they will investigate.
Can you also call 311?
You can also call 311, but so don't forget to file with the AG's office because they need to be held accountable.
Thank you so much, Yulin. It's so good to see you. I really, it's great to see your face, and even if it's only virtually, you're our first virtual interview for Rep NYC, so thank you. And we'll be back. We're actually going to do an interview after this with somebody about the census and how that's going to work, so we'll be right back.